scary? Well, we're about America first, make America great again. As Trump says, make America great again. How can you be against that, right? But they're worried about it because they're part of that union, and they're really not rooting for Americans. They're not rooting for the middle class. They're not rooting for Americans. They're not rooting for common sense policies. They're part of the system. And I don't know why he's attacking me. I mean, you're right. I mean, the difference between Donald Trump and him is Donald Trump was really trying to shrink the government and hand it back to the people. And Chris Christie was trying to hog the government. Remember, he hogged the beaches. He shut them down to the people. And he's out there sunning himself on the beach while the people of New Jersey were struggling. And we're tired of that. We don't want politicians that are doing that. He's running because he has nothing else to do. And I know he was for hire. My opponent, my rhino opponent during the primary, hired him to come in and badmouth me. And I thought, wow, I've never met him. Why would he badmouth me? He's a rhino. I was for securing the border, stopping the fentanyl crisis, funding the police so we have law and order on our streets so we can send our kids bike riding or to the park without worrying. I actually was the only governor with a policy to end the chronic homeless problem. A really solid policy. I think Democrats want to see a solution. God did not envision any one of us on the street living in a tent with a needle in our arm. We want to help these people, make them contributing citizens, give them a life. But we can't do that with a wide open border and an unending supply of fentanyl. So we had policies that were going to return the trade skill training to our high schools so our kiddos could get out of high school ready for the working world, right? Chris Christie telling me that he doesn't want me in office. I'm like, dude, go back to New Jersey. Sorry. I don't know what Arizona's from. Okay, do we have another question?
Another question in the back.
Say your name if you would.
Sure, I'm Johnny Flynn. I ran against Blumenthal in Connecticut for US Senate. I got sandbagged just like you. And I must say, I came to Arizona, met your people. They handed me the hack for Connecticut. All the IP addresses of the hackers, how it was hacked, all the software, LHS, GEMS, every way they can possibly steal a vote. I got all the evidence from people in your state, and they didn't have the information on Arizona, but I got that from Illinois. So here we go. We have all the software problems nailed. We sued in Connecticut, just like you. Thank you. I worship you. This is your largest, right here is your largest Connecticut donor, my father, chairman of the Conservative Party of New York. So I adore you. Unfortunately, we're doing very well in our lawsuit, but the problem is, of course, the same problem as you had. Our Secretary of State rigged it. We got her cold.
Well, let me tell
the judges won't put her in jail.
Let me tell you a little secret. Who do you think stole our election in Arizona? The Democrats did what they usually do. The rigging that they usually do.
Awesome.
It was Republicans who stole this election.
Yes. Yes.
Richard Bill Gates, not the Bill Gates pushing the vaccine, not the Microsoft Bill Gates, but we have our own Bill Gates in Arizona. And they actually ran a Super PAC, raising tens of thousands of dollars. And all of their money was spent to try to stop me when I was on the ballot. They're running the ballot and they're running a Super PAC to stop me. And they're the ones who were responsible for this botched, rigged election. And they are rhino Republicans. Rhino Republicans are going to be the end of our country.
We'll do the question on this side and over there.
They're treating it a lot of different ways, by the way, and we need to get back to election day, paper ballots, photo ID,
Hi, I'm Nicole. Thank you for being here. As Greg said earlier, we all love you in this room. We want to see you as president, vice president. What are your future political aspirations?
Wow, well, slow down. I'm still fighting to be governor of Arizona because we were the duly elected governor. And I'm fighting right now. I want to turn my state around. I love Arizona. I've got children who live there. They're actually not kiddos anymore. Actually, my daughter is involved with the Young Republicans in Arizona. And I want to make sure they have a country to grow up in. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. It was such a great country. And we still have those principles there. We have the Constitution, but our government is rotten to the core right now. Rotten. And we got to root out this rot. It is a metastasized cancer, and we got to root it out. So I'm going to fight for Arizona. But as I said, I don't know where the judicial system is going to take this. I don't have high hopes right now. And so, you know, there's an open, the Senate seat is coming up. And, you know, if they want me out so bad, they want our movement, our people out so bad that they're willing to steal an election in broad daylight, I'm not going to give them that. We're not going away. I'm just getting started, and I'm considering running, if need be, for that Senate seat. President Trump in any way to make sure he gets elected. We've got to have President Trump.
My name is Pamela Dusky. I ran for office in 2019 from Suffolk County, New York. Suffolk County. What we looked into was the connection between Maricopa County, where the cartel is buying mortgage-backed securities. How are they connected to Suffolk County and Long Island? What we discovered is our Nassau County Traffic and Parking Violations Agency, who gives you a ticket, they do their collections through Tempe, Arizona. So when we looked harder at the people getting tickets in Nassau County and Suffolk County, we discovered they were getting fake tickets to target them, to steal their homes through mortgage-backed securities coming from Tempe, Arizona. We are giving it to our Suffolk County District Attorney. His name is Ray Tierney. He came into office last year under the campaign of "No one is above the law." So in that spirit, thank you for what you are trying to do in Arizona. Fighting the cartel is a brutal battle.
Truly, it is. It is brutal. I think all of the mafia stories come out of New York and the cartel stories, but I'm almost thinking Arizona might be the most corrupt right now. Well, somebody said, I don't know about that. We're going to compete here. And I don't frankly want to be competing for the most corrupt state. And the least corrupt state. I want to be the Grand Canyon state, not the fentanyl pipeline state. I want to be the fair election state, not the Banana Republic election state. So we're going to work, and I know what you're talking about. We had some really disturbing testimony that was held before our state senate a couple months back. I don't know where that's going. I hope there's an investigation. But I will tell you this. The cartels used to be, when Joe Biden came in and threw out President Trump's great policies. President Trump had that border more secure than I'd ever seen it. And on hour one of Joe Biden's illegitimate administration, he tore back those policies and exposed us to the cartels, to the crime, to the drugs, to the sex trafficking. It's horrible. And so for a while there, for the first 2 years of his administration, the cartels were in operational control of our border. Now they're in operational control, I believe, of our entire state. We have in our Secretary of State's office, and I don't believe he won, if you look at what the polling showed, there's no way he won, a man by the name of Adrian Fontes, who was a cartel attorney. He's running our elections in Arizona now.
Oh my
We've got
God.
to bring an end to this nonsense, and we don't bring an end by laying down and saying, well, we'll try again next time. We bring it into us standing up and fighting and saying, we're not going to take this crap anymore. And that's where we are right now. And we're working hard to make sure we can stop it.
We have a question right here.
Oh, hi. I've been trying to get a question that belongs. So,
Who are you?
hi, my name is Michelle. I am an active participant in Blexit, New York. And just a quick commentary. I used to go to school in Jamaica, Queens, your college, and when you said that people were being targeted for speaking out, my grade was deducted purposefully because I argued for the Constitution. I said that it's not fair that we are actively straying away from the Constitution, and that number one, we should not allow the government, for heaven's sake, to say for the good of mankind or for the greater good, to steal away property and not compensate the American people, which was Kilo V, City of New London. They deducted my grade, which was, I fought heavily against it. I was like, I have the time of day, I'm petty. So I'm gonna fight against this. being robbed, of being raped, of my liberties being stolen from me because I don't want to take some experimental vaccine. So how do you plan on appealing to people in New York, Black New York specifically in urban cities, since we're still going by the same political voting strategy over the last 40 so odd years?
That's a good question. I can't speak for, appealing to New Yorkers because I ran in Arizona, but I often got asked the question, maybe I'd be at a women's business group. How are you going to, what policies will you put in place to help women's business? Or maybe I was at a Latino group. How are you going to help Latino people? How are you going to help, maybe I was at a group of Black Arizonans. How are you going to help Black Arizonans? And I said, I am going to put forward policies that help all Arizonans. When you do that, you help Black Arizonans, Latinos, Arizona tribe, you help all Arizonans. And I remember when I was doing an event with police who endorsed me, and some ridiculous fake news propagandist reporter said that the police are targeting Black people and the police are racist and all this, and studies show. And I said, what studies? Please name the studies. Because guess what? Black Arizonans, people of color, want safe streets as well. People of color don't want to have to call 911 and no one shows up. People of color want their children to be able to ride their bikes and play in the parks, and they don't want to have to step on drug needles. We all want the same things. We want safety and security. We want an education for our children where they get out of school and they're ready to get a job so they can actually make a living. We're not doing a good job at any of that right now. And so we need to do an overhaul of how we approach these problems. And that's what was so encouraging about President Donald Trump. He came in, made all these promises. Everyone said, the naysayers said, there's no way he's going to do it. There's no way he's going to do it. He's going to start World War III. He brought us peace. And he went through every single promise and he made it happen. And everyone's lives were better under Donald J. Trump. Everyone's thankful. What I would just do is I don't look at people and see skin color. I think that we're all God's creation. And I want to make sure that everyone's doing better. I want everyone, but we can't do that if we're going to have wide open borders and allow for our country to be destabilized. We are in really big trouble. That's what's going to hurt Latinos. That's what's going to hurt Black Americans, white Americans, members of our tribes. When we have a wide open border, a destabilization of our country, drugs pouring in, we are all going to suffer. We can't do that. All these people go like this.
Hi, Kari. Hi there. My name is Mike Westall. I was the chair of the Native Americans for Kari Lake.
Mike's amazing. Give Mike a hand.
I'm a Navajo citizen. I grew up on the Navajo Indian Reservation in Ganado, Arizona. I was born and raised on the Indian Reservation in a single white trailer in Arizona. And I just know that Kari Lake was doing a great job for Arizona. She was also speaking for a lot of Americans when we were talking about how the border is open, how drugs were really taking control of our state. She was the only candidate who really wanted to talk to Native American tribes and really respect the sovereignty that we were having for communities, young and old. And I'm just so happy that we had to have that conversation. And she was very eager to have this conversation in maybe 2 years before she even ran for governor. So we were able to have that conversation early on. So I wanted to know, my question is, how do we, the subjects really were for Native Americans in our communities. How do we continue to have safe borders and not only empower ourselves? I think we're kind of talking about Trump is great, Kari Lake is great. How do we people empower ourselves? I think you have the answer for that.
I love that. And Mike, thank you for your help. You are just an amazing part of our team. We're so lucky to have you. And we're still working. And when we win, I believe we will win. I don't know when. Mike, you're going to be a big part of it. This is a man who loves this country and is a hero. Being hurt immensely by the drug running and the human smuggling. It's coming right through their tribes. And there's corruption all over. It's not just the Maricopa County leaders. There's corruption in many aspects of our society. We've heard about it here, and even some of the people in the tribes are corrupt. But the people are suffering. And the tribe, the Tohono Nation, I mean, it's right there on the border, and they have the drugs running right up through their nation. And they are a sovereign nation, and the people on the tribes are suffering so much because they're being poisoned by this fentanyl. These aren't drug overdoses, they're poisonings. You talk to a mother who says, my son took a half a pill and died. You shouldn't die from a half a pill of anything. This is a poisoning of our children. And the people who live on the tribes don't want their children dying from fentanyl. We need to get together and work this out. But they appreciate the sovereignty as well. We've got 22 sovereign nations and tribal nations in Arizona. And we need to get back to each state being a sovereign state, right? And we have the right to protect our citizens. We can't count on Joe Biden. Article 4, Section 4, the guarantee clause of the United States Constitution requires that the government protect us from an invasion. When they fail to do that, we have the right there in that amazing document, the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10. When we are being invaded, when our citizens are in danger and time is of the essence, we can protect our own border. And that's what my border plan called for, going right back to the U.S. Constitution and protecting our citizens. And that includes protecting our tribal citizens as well. Gosh, there's a ton of questions. I love it. I'll try to be quicker.
Just questions.
I see Donald Trump is asking the Republican Party to try to adopt the same tactics the Democrats are using. How optimistic are we that the Republicans ground game can do this ballot harvesting and illegal?
Well, in some states, ballot harvesting is illegal, and I am not for breaking the law in any way. But in states where you can't do that, I think we should, as Democrats would do. And then I think we need to work together to make sure that in states where you can't ballot harvest, we're getting in touch with everybody who has a ballot and making sure that ballot makes it back to be counted. We've got to get